Eis Tzara Yaakov. We find by Hilchos Avelos that the first 3 days the requirement is Bechi. Shloisha Yomim LeBechi. Afterwards we have Sheva Yomim LeHesped, and we explained that even though Hesped also is there to generate Bechi, there's 2 sorts of Bechi. The Shloisha Yomim Rishonim of Bechi are Bechi because of pain, because we're in agony, and then you cry, because you're novuch, you don't understand. There's nothing to say. There's no Torah to say on that. You cry because it's painful. No one doesn't ask someone who's in pain why you're crying, because it's painful. The second stage of Bechi, the Hesped stage, is trying to find some context. And therefore we said for the first 3 days, it's not correct to say droshes, to say musa, to say ashkofas, to start giving chizuk, etc., etc. The first 3 days, crying. When a person is personally an ovel, and we are avelim as Klal Yisrael, the first 3 days is just there to cry. And to tell you the truth, these 3 days are ongoing, because the pain and the anguish and the tsar and the agony is ongoing, because there are people who are still dying, and there are people who've just died, and there are people who are just starting to sit shiva, and there are people who've got families who are hostages, and the hostages themselves in extraordinary, unbelievable pain. Chazal say that's the worst thing, is to be a shevi, to be captured by chayos voice with no understanding what the future is, possibly tortured, probably tortured. It's unbelievable to think about it, and all one could do is to cry. And of course, soldiers going to the front line with an insecure future, what will be, and families who've sent soldiers, the whole of Klal Yisrael is still in pain, still in agony, and it's still really Shlosh Yomim Lebechi. However, since there are people who've been asking questions, so not just questions, but have had emotional answers, impulsive, knee-jerk reactions, responses. People have said, Mashiach's coming tonight. People have said, I've got to go back to Chutz La'aretz. People have said, I've got to go to Eretz Yisrael. People have said, I have to go to the army. People have said, should I learn all night? Should I learn all day? Should I daven all night? Daven all day? What should I do? Should I fast? Is it tshuva, tefillah? What are we supposed to do? And interestingly enough, when I was a bocher, when I was in yeshiva, and we've been through many crises, and we need to put this one into context. There have been many crises. There's been Yom Kippur War. There have been many, many tough times in Klal Yisrael over the last 50 years since I've been in yeshiva. Wasn't so much of a question what to do and when to daven and why to daven. What is our chelik? What is our job? What is our tachlis? And it seems to me that the problem is a problem as follows. The Alter of Kelm, in his Beis HaMedrash, in his Talmud Torah, he stressed one midah. And the midah he stressed was a midah called Seder. And he said that Seder is like the string within a necklace where all the beads are different middas, but Seder is when you have organized them in some sort of order, correct order, and that's what Seder does. Seder gives priority, Seder gives consistency. In spite of things happening, you are consistent because you know at a particular time what is supposed to be done at a particular time. It resolves dilemmas. What should I do, this or the other? If you're Masuda, you know what to do any particular time. And in Kelm, they had extraordinary stories. They said they had a Seder, it's Shabbos 11 o'clock till 11:05, 5-minute Seder. And everyone was there at 11 o'clock, everyone lurked for 5 minutes and stopped. They had a Seder Musa, which began immediately in the middle of learning, you learnt Musa. They had, when they stood up for Tefillah, Goal Yisrael, everyone stood up together. And of course they were Masuda in their personal habits, etc. Things were in their place. Everything was put in the right place because that's Seder. Everything needs to be in its place. Everything has a mokum and it's built on Seder. And Kelm was extraordinary in that. And the climax of that, the acme, the peak of that, was when this story of how the Beis HaMedrash of Kelm, the town of Kelm, was taken out to be slaughtered by the Nazis, Yamach Shimon v'Zichron, and their death march when they were facing certain death. Did they panic? Did they have despair? Did they scream? Were they dragged? No. They walked. Like mentioned, there were chayas rois surrounding them, and you could see the difference. They walked with confidence, knowing what they're heading towards, but knowing this is what they have to do at this particular time. That is the peak. The machshava, being able to have Seder and Masuda and Roga, calmness at a time of extraordinary crisis, facing death, that's an unbelievable daga of Seder. At this particular time, that's not what's happening. Hashem, Bez Hashem. But we are at a time of crisis. There is an emergency situation. We're facing threats on different fronts, from within, from without. And because of that, we have to see, have people got a seder in Machshava, that they have fundamental understanding of what they're doing at any particular time, and then at this particular time, when we are at emergency, a crisis, then we should be able to see who is Masuda, knows why they're doing it, what they're doing, and what they're supposed to be doing. And it seems there's a lack of that. There's klola, which is getting worse and worse. The world gets into chaos more, perhaps entropy, perhaps that's what it means. And the only way out of that is hoyesh storim tofir mioifel. If you have seder, if you're masada, then you can make sense of the chaos. You don't have despair, and you don't have panic, and you don't have emotional responses. You do what you're supposed to do at any particular time. Noach, ish tzaddik. He wasn't a chassid, he was a tzaddik. He was a ish seder. You see, the two things that Noach was criticized for was coming late to feed the lion, and also he planted the wrong vine. He shouldn't have planted a vine. He should have planted another thing. He should have planted probably chito, probably something like wheat or something. That's what he should have planted. He went out of order. He started the wrong way, and he came late. So Noach was criticized for Seder, and think about it. What was wrong with the Dora Mabul was there was no Seder, there was no order, there was nothing in its mokim. The species intermingled. Gezel is taken from someone else. Arayas means that they had arayas with Eishes Ish, with other people's wives, etc. There was Hefkeris, there was no boundary, there was no gvul, there was no Seder, there was no mokim. And then he has to build a teva with 3 stories, which is a mokim. And that is to found the foundation of a new world. The world has to be Masuda, because Yesh Storim Tofir Mioifel. And that was Noach's job. And Mamela, when he was less successful in 2 small points, he gets punished, because this is a whole new world you're founding, and you have to be perfect in Storim. We need to try and understand what is our job at the moment, what is our tachlis, where is our mokim, and not to get dragged, because when you don't have Seder, you haven't built a building which has structure and fundamental building blocks, one on the other, then you will be like a leaf blowing in the wind, because you'll be pulled this way and that way. Maybe you should go to the army, maybe you should run home, maybe you should stay here, maybe learn all day, maybe learn all night, maybe etc. etc. What should I do? And there's so many, in this world, there's a world where there's a whirlwind, there's not just a wind of days of people saying things, you should be doing that, you should be doing this, etc., which is creating confusion, it's creating a bit of yish, creating a bit of panic. Even the Mashiach idea, Mashiach's coming tonight, there's a desert grass, bechina of pseudo-mukubolim coming and telling this is going to happen, that's going to happen, etc., which disappears overnight every time. This also is a symptom of chaos, of lack of Seder. So, what we could try and do, in a very small way, suggest, perhaps, possibly, a hadocha in how we can go about having proper Seder, how we should understand what is our tafkid at this time, what is our tachlis at this time, to do it properly, correctly, understanding why we're doing it. Be'ez Hashem, HaKadosh Baruch Hu, bring a Yeshua to Klal Yisrael. Tshuvas Hashem keref ayin. We need tefillahs, we need Torah, we need chesed, we need soldiers, we need fighting. All these things have to combine together, but how to combine them together is a din in Seder. And perhaps we can try and give a little bit of insight in what is the Seder that is required now. Why are we doing what we're doing? Why and how are we supposed to do it? And when are we supposed to do it? And in what bechina of Seder we're supposed to be doing it? Be'ez Hashem, Kodesh Baruch Hu, bring Yeshua, clarifying to Klal Yisrael, refuah all the cholim, release of all the hostages, achinu b'nei Yisrael, etc. And only matzorah of shivyo, unbelievable. Be'ez Hashem, b'mehero v'yomeinu, will be zeicha to be as Gol Tzedek b'mehero.